Amongst aspiring musicians and thriving actors, it's easy to forget the unsung heroes who help bring the production together.
The Silver Center presents its very own hole in the wall, and that's the magic of the costume shop.
Danae Grillo, costume designer and shop manager, is bubbly, friendly, and told us all about how her eclectic and creative mind geared up at an early age.
Oh my god, I was one of those little outcast nerds. Definitely. I didn't really fit into one outcast group or another. I kind of traveled between them, but, you know, I found a bunch of people who were like me, and we ended up forming what we called the Demented Herd. This gives you some clues as to why I am what I'm like right now.
With a passion for being different and creative, Danae soon figured out the direction she was headed for.
I went to Keene State College, and when I went, I knew I wanted to do theater. I didn't really know what I wanted to do much past that, though. But the woman who was to become my advisor, Celine, found me in a hallway one day and said, "You're coming with me." And I said, "Okay." And she introduced me to somebody else in the department. Must have been the third day I was on campus. And she said, "You know, this is Danae. She's going to be a design major." And I said, "Okay."
And costume design it was. Little did Danae know at the time she would be finding her place just a ways up Route 93.
I was living in Nashua when I found out about this job. My parents were building a house up in Plymouth anyway, because they were going to leave Connecticut and retire up here, which they have since. He had left a newspaper on top of the car, and it had rained that night, soaking wet. He came down to peel it off the car, and it was open to the job opening that was for here. I had 3 days to get my stuff together. And my dad calls me up, he goes, "You need to apply for this job." I said, "I don't know if I could do this. I've never taught before. What is this?" So he tells me, "Get your stuff together, send it in." I did in the 3 days. I got a nice portfolio together, sent it in, and to my surprise, they called me for an interview. I was at my retail job in Nashua, and I went, absolutely. Walked in there with a letter of resignation, said, "Yeah, I'm out."
So how does one teach costume design? There is in fact a method to the madness.
All right, so first thing I do is I get a hold of the script, and I read it realistically about 3 or 4 times, making notes of anything it's mentioned for costumes, like, you know, that's a nice blue dress or something to that effect. And I also look for things that are not said, like this character and this character are played by the same person. They only have, so many lines to change. I have to make that costume that's either quick-rigged or easy to change out of. Once I've made all those notes, I talk to the director. And I can't really independently design a costume without talking to the director because it's their vision. They have a vision for the show, and I am to make my design. So if they say I want it to take place in the moon in the 1950s, I have to figure out how to make that work. I do some pencil sketches. I do a full set of drawings for each person in the show, and once the director approves them, I put them into ink and then I paint them with watercolor. From there, I stick them up on the board and I say, all right, you see that? We need to make that, or we need to find that in the back, or we need to buy that. And we get the costumes made, usually referred to as building the costumes. And once the costumes go up, I become designer person again, and I go to dress rehearsals and make sure everything is working the way I want it to. And even with the best laid plans, stuff always gets changed. And I always know it's not an attack to me from the director. Number one thing student designers have a hard time with, they're like, they didn't like it, they changed all these things. And like, no, they loved it. They cared, so they are making little adjustments. We have to work together. And, you know, once the show goes up, I run free screaming.
When it comes down to it, having access to the right supplies is crucial in a field like this. Danae didn't hold back on her thoughts of budget.
No costume designer will ever say, you know, I don't need any more money. The colleges, they get like tens of thousands of dollars for their productions, like Boston University or whatnot. You know, they can spend $1,000 on a costume. Sometimes I'll get $1,000 for an entire show. But that's okay because it forces us to come up with some really creative stuff. It helps me, you know, choose different materials than I normally would have, and I end up learning new skills as a result.
Even the greatest teachers will admit to learning new things every day.
Danae's love and passion for costume design rubs off on all students she works alongside with.
Inspiring students and posing as a role model for the unsung heroes of our future.